Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo. It's time for a delayed opening rant, and Rich is gonna tee it off here for us in a change of role. What do we got today, Rich?
Oh, Gary, help me make sense of this.
Uh-oh.
In 2019, Jeff Kent, longtime second
Yes.
baseman for the San Francisco Giants, received more Hall of Fame votes, 77, than Scott Rowland, who had 73, Billy Wagner, who had 71, and Todd Helton, who had 70. Tuesday, Rowland received 297, enough to get in. Helton got 281, Wagner 265. Kent received just 181. Now, apparently in retirement, Rowland, Wagner, and Helton all became better players than Kent. At least in the eyes of voters, it seems that way. This has become an annual event, bashing the Hall of Fame voting process, but I think there's a good reason.
Yeah, I mean,
Results like Tuesdays defy simple logic. I mean, 5 years ago, just 43 voters thought Rowland was a Hall of Famer. Tuesday, 297 did. Stats haven't changed.
yeah, I mean, the only explanation for that, and this even seems a little far-fetched given the insane discrepancy of vote totals you just quoted, but the way a lot of people evaluate players statistically anyway has radically changed in recent years. And as more and more people, the nerd class, as I call them, go into like irrelevant, super fancy advanced analytics instead of just like using the eye test and compilation career milestone statistics as a benchmark for appointing Hall of Famers, that's going to shift maybe sometimes heavily vote totals for certain guys, for a lot of guys, because someone who has great traditional metrics might have bad advanced analytics and vice versa. Scott Rowland's defensive prowess, coupled with having plus power, probably plays favorably to the analytic nerd crowd. Whereas Jeff Kent's numbers, being a blah defender and just more or less a power hitter at a non-power position, probably plays better with the traditional crowd. And I believe that latter crowd, the traditional crowd, is being kind of phased out in the voting process, just like it has been in the front offices around baseball for the nerdy crowd. And I think that has something to do with it. I don't know if it explains the whole thing, but that's the only explanation I can come up with.
Well, and I got a slightly different take. I don't disagree with you. Now, the PED guys, Bonds, Clemens, and Sosa weren't on the ballot.
Right.
So I guess the logic goes, hey, that might have freed up some votes.
Yep.
The advanced stats thing does really push this. But, I mean, Rowland never led the league in anything offensively. He finished in top 5 in MVP voting once.
Right.
How do you go from 10% in his first year of eligibility to 76? There weren't that many people voting for the guys that are off the ballot. I've always thought the Baseball Hall of Fame had been the best Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And a lot of sports fans felt the same way. Now I think it's a joke. The voting has like no criteria other than like the numerical ides of the day.
Yeah, I mean,
Big Poppy gets in, others alleged don't. And I'm not saying Poppy doesn't belong.
Yeah, he definitely does belong.
Curt Schilling's case is stronger than a bunch of other pitchers already there, but he's passed over because some voters don't like his politics.
Some voters don't like his politics, and also there are on-field reasons to maybe be hesitant with Schilling. For his generation, he didn't have the best win total for his generation. Now, against modern generations, his win total looks unapproachable, right? But against his own generation, there were probably 5 contemporaries of his that vastly outperformed him in win totals and other statistics, cumulative statistics. Now, his greatest argument, and I'm a proponent of Schilling in the Hall of Fame,
He's better than others that are there.
But his greatest argument for me is what he did in the postseason. And that to me is his greatest argument, which is my least favorite argument to use ever. I don't really ever weight winning or quote clutchness as a attribute in terms of how good someone was. But he was a maybe rare exception where he was so great in the postseason and was so great in historical postseason series. That 2001 series against the Yankees, him and Randy Johnson basically won it as two guys. And then he was key in breaking the curse of the Bambino and coming back from a 3-0 deficit, the only time in baseball history in a Yankees Red Sox postseason. I mean, that's, those are like monumental moments in baseball history that he was a key cog in. That stuff matters. I mean, his stats are good. So, he did win some Cy Youngs. But yeah,
I think he has every qualification.
I think you can I could just as well make an argument against him. I'm not offended by his lack of presence in the Hall of Fame. I would vote for him, but I understand why some people don't.
I don't. But
there's reasons not to vote for him.
Probably not much of an argument. The greatest reliever is Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, we know that. He's in.
But some moron didn't vote for him because he didn't want it to be unanimous.
No, Mo was unanimous.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Was he?
Yeah. He's the only one ever.
That's right. That's right. But at first it wasn't until that guy changed his vote. Yeah, and that's another thing.
He got pressured into changing his vote because he was just being an idiot.
A jerk. Yeah. Then why is this person voting?
Yeah, I mean,
I understand if you change from year to year on someone, not like this drastic percent. Like, no one's ever gotten in who received 10% his first year of eligibility. Helton got 16 his first year, and he's probably going to get in next year. But we're supposed to celebrate a Hall of Fame starting to fill up with players that voters told us for years weren't Hall of Famers. Nothing against Scott Rowland.
Well,
but I'm not going to Cooperstown to see his plaque.
This all comes back to what I was talking about yesterday, Rich. This comes back to the fact that in order to continue to have enshrinees when they've depleted the cream of the crop intentionally for this virtue signaling nonsense of PED, Knights of the Keyboard trash, this is what you get. I mean, there's thankfully guys like Rowland and Helton. If Wagner eventually gets in, these aren't bad choices. All these guys were phenomenal players. But, to your point, and you're exactly right, they certainly weren't the top players of their era, the top guys. They were top 5%. They weren't top 1%. Maybe they were top 10% even. But they certainly weren't higher than the top 5%. I think that's being generous. They're probably mostly top 10%. And that's nothing to sneeze at. Of course, that's a great player. But the reason they're getting consideration and then that some of them are getting in, like Rowland, it's like I said yesterday, it's not because of a increase in inclusion. It's because of an increase in exclusion of the best guys.
Right.
And it's created a logjam that's been going on for a long time. I mean, this logjam dates back to 2005 or 6 when McGuire and Sosa first became eligible, and it's been just building up and building up. Now you have guys like A-Rod and Manny Ramirez who have retired more recently. You have guys like, of course, Bonds and Clemens who retired after McGuire, but before.
You can't vote for them anyway.
Well, now they're off the ballot. But what I'm saying is those years of excluding those guys created a logjam in the Hall of Fame of all of these lesser players. And there's so many guys eligible, but they're not voting in the best ones. So what they end up doing is they vote in just to vote someone in, someone here, someone there. And that's maybe another explanation for the wide, crazy variance on some of these guys. It's just kind of each year, who do they feel is the best of the not quite deserving crowd? And that might change because it's very non-scientific, right? There's not a lot of difference really when you think about it between Todd Helton, Scott Rowland, Billy Wagner, These guys are all about the same level guy at their respective position.
Okay, and then here's my point. Going to what you just said, it's okay if you don't induct anyone some year. In fact, it shows, I think it shows that it's that tough to get in. And I mean, do we have to reconsider the candidacy of Helton and Wagner? And back to Jeff Kent for a second. He may have been an ass. He wasn't the nicest person in the world. I get it. But he's the best power hitting second baseman the game's ever seen.
That's right.
He also won an MVP.
Yep.
He should be in. Instead, he's now off the ballot entirely.
Yep.
And that's just wrong as far as I'm concerned.
I agree on Jeff Kent. I mean, especially because baseball has always traditionally, and I think properly so, heavily valued and weighted, how you compared against your own position. Like, because Jeff Kent's numbers, he's getting in on offensive power numbers he got in, right? So his numbers wouldn't be considered Hall of Fame worthy if you just said, here's Jeff Kent's power numbers, here are the power numbers of all the other Hall of Famers. He doesn't measure up. But when you measure his numbers against other second basemen, he's a no-brainer, right? Like that.
Right.
So that's the way you have to look at Jeff Kent. And I think people probably do. But yeah, I mean, the one thing is, I'll say this too. This whole thing isn't new in terms of people not being close to getting in and suddenly getting in, or being close and then suddenly not being close. I mean, how many times over how many years did we see that with Jim Rice? That's just one example.
But I've never seen it at these percentages.
I mean, Jim Rice had a lot of these type of ebbs and flows.
He never had 10 or 16% of the vote, ever. Look it up. He was always higher than that. He was never near the threshold.
And then all of a sudden he was.
Yeah, but 10% ridiculous to get in is ridiculous. And passing up a guy because, we may not like him.
Well, yeah, that's always been a thing.
I know and that's why it's flawed.
Yeah, that's
one of the many reasons why it's flawed.
Well, yeah,
but like I said, that's an exclusion that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all. That's my whole point.
I don't have a problem with people changing their minds on borderline guys. My only real problem with the baseball.
Yeah, but who are you leaving out to put in this borderline guy?
Right. Well, the thing is, I think my biggest problem is the lack of putting in Bonds, Clemens, and really those two. And A-Rod.
Past history, though, you can't do anything about.
Well, no, but
Bonds, Clemens, Sosa, all these guys.
Well, they're off the ballot. I understand that, but I'm saying that's what caused.
But I'm talking about this year.
Well, I don't have a big problem with this year's Hall of Fame voting. My problem is longer term than that, because as far as I'm concerned, had these other guys I'm talking about been inducted at some point, we wouldn't have had what you're talking about today. I'm saying today is a direct result of yesterday. And 100% that. Like, I don't think this is even
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree. But I mean, this, all of a sudden, wow.
Well, what I'm saying though
is got really worse after he stopped playing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the guys get better and worse after
it's
they
not
stop
like
playing.
There's so many other second basemen that have usurped that.
No, no. I mean,
because there's not.
Kent's an oversight, and it's clearly a result of people not liking him. And that's just that's
there's a lot of people I don't like.
That's office politics. I mean,
it doesn't mean I would never consider that in a Hall of Fame vote.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do. I mean, and they always have. I mean, Ted Williams got like 85% of the vote instead of like 100% because people didn't like him. So like that's just what it is. And Ted Williams was an unassailable immortal. You know what I mean? Like Jeff Kent is not on that level. So,
right.
I think.
But I'm not making that comparison or coming close.
No, I'm not saying you are. But
I'm just discussing an oversight.
But what I'm saying is, when you are not an unassailable immortal, if the people that could put you into Cooperstown don't like you, that's going to be a problem. It just is. And that's just human nature. People will not vote for people they don't like. When you have a chance to vote, you're going to vote for people that are reasonably qualified within argument that you like. And that's just what it is. My big problem is leaving out the PED guys, because the truth of the matter is the whole era was accessing and using the same stuff, and they were the best players.
Well, let's touch on that, because I agree. You know how I feel about that.
Well, yeah.
Poppy's in.
Well, he never tested positive.
He was accused.
He was accused, but didn't test positive.
Did Bonds?
He didn't.
Okay,
That's
then.
true.
I rest my case.
No, I get it. But again, I go back to what
I leave it to you, the defense attorney.
I go back to what I said. Poppy was beloved. Barry Bonds was reviled by the media. Same problem. Makes
but who
a big
cares?
Difference. The voters do. The voters care a lot.
This is the problem, and the voters are the problem.
Well, there's no solution to it, because all of humanity is that way and has been since time immortal. There's no way to fix that. That's just a reality you have to deal with. That's a reality of the human condition. It's unfixable.
I mean, there's the annual talk in Buffalo about taking O.J. Simpson off the wall. Why?
Well, because he's known to most people alive today as basically a murderer. That's why.
Too bad. He's not up there because he was Citizen of the Year.
Oh, I agree, but I understand.
He's up there because he was the best running back of his time.
Right. And that makes sense. I get that. But I mean, this is,
I agree with that point completely.
Yeah, of course they were. I mean, look, everyone was using steroids probably,
right,
or at least had the option of using it. You know, at the very
minimum. I think
minimum.
a majority of them did.
That's probably the case.
I don't give a damn if they're shooting up in the dugout.
Oh, do it in the on-deck circle. I don't care.
I don't
Makes
care.
No difference to me. No, I agree with that 100%. Makes no difference to me. The fact of the matter is Bonds, A-Rod, and Clemens are 3 of the 5 best players in the last 50 years of baseball. Like, you know.
And if everyone was shooting up, why were they all not?
Right,
Bonds,
exactly.
Clemens or A-Rod.
Right, exactly. No,
because the talent was special.
Right, exactly. 100%. And, you know, I don't have a problem. Like I said yesterday, I don't have a problem with Roland getting in. I have a problem with who they're leaving out. I don't even have
That's my bigger problem than Roland.
Yeah, right. And I don't even have a problem with the why they're leaving out some guys. My problem is the why on basically 3. Basically 3 guys. A-Rod, Bonds, and Clemens. Because, like, the thing is with those 3, they are unassailable, historic, immortal players.
Right.
And that's the reason. That's the only reason. Like, let's flip this for a second. Let's say Todd Helton, Jeff Kent, and Billy Wagner were your 3 steroid guys instead of Bonds, Clemens, and A-Rod. And let's say the latter 3, the Bonds, Clemens, and A-Rod, had the careers of Kent, Helton, and Wagner. I would be making the same argument for Kent, Helton, and Wagner that I'm making for those 3 right now, and I would be understanding of leaving these 3 out more so than I am now, because as good as those 3 were.
Yeah, but that's a hypothetical.
Of course it is, but that's hypotheticals are good conversation, and they illustrate.
I'm going by what's real. And Kent deserved to be in.
But the real factor with Jeff Kent is people didn't like him, and he's not good enough. His statistics aren't good enough to overcome that. See, Bonds has the double whammy of people hating him, and he has the steroid thing that's overvalued. Jeff Kent, had he had Barry Bonds statistics, would be in. That was the point I was making with that hypothetical. He would be in. Those 3 guys would be in if they had Bonds or A-Rod statistics without the baggage of PED.
Because I'm not trying to compare them to any of those guys, because that's a completely different level.
Bonds would be in without the PED. He's hated as much, if not more, than Kent, but his stats are so far beyond great that they would vote him in. The PED thing is
voters never let him in.
They won't because of the PED thing. If that didn't exist, he's hated as much as Kent, if not more. He would be in.
But see, Bonds wasn't on the ballot this year with Kent.
I understand that.
My point is, Kent should be there, even if it was at the exclusion of Roland. And I'm not saying Roland doesn't belong. I'm just saying Kent belonged as much as anyone else that got votes.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been voted in any time in the last few years. That would have been perfectly fine with me. But I understand how he didn't get voted in. I would have voted for him, but I understand how he didn't. His numbers aren't unassailable compared to how much so many people that matter to voting hated him. And that's what happened with him. That's the only reason he's not in.
See, I just said he was an ass because that's the way a lot of people look at him. The guy never bothered me.
No,
he was opinionated. I don't care.
Well, no, I like opinion.
What did you do on the field?
Right. Well, but you know what? The people that cover these people day to day and then vote for them years later, their perception of this is a lot more personal than your and I's.
Right.
That's just what it is.
I have no stake in it.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot more personal. So, but yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, I would have voted for Jeff Kent. I would have voted for Scott Rowland. I would have voted for Wagner. I probably wouldn't have voted for Helton. And those would have been, and of course, A-Rod and Manny Ramirez, you know, that those two are kind of without saying to me, especially A-Rod. I mean,
even Ramirez.
Yeah, I mean Ramirez too, but A-Rod's even on another level than him. But Ramirez is Ramirez is on another level than the guys that we're talking about. But A-Rod's on another level than Ramirez.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Manny was one of the better right-handed hitters in the history of baseball.
And he's very deserving.
Yeah, he is. So, all right. Well, let's take a quick break.
The whole thing's a joke. There you go.
Yeah. I think, you know, I don't know that I call it a joke yet. I think it's a great topic of conversation, which is, hey, it just gave us 20 minutes of great conversation. So there you go. All right.
An example, case in point, I don't like Dwayne Wade.
Me either.
You know how I feel about Dwayne.
Yeah, I don't like Dwayne Wade either.
I didn't love him as a player. I thought he got the benefit of everything. I don't like him personally. Would I vote for him for the Hall of Fame? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I would.
You would. And there's a lot of people that if they shared your sentiments wouldn't.
Right.
And you know, that's and my point on that was that that's unfixable. That is human mentality, the human condition. You can change who's voting, what the criteria are. You can change anything you want. Those personal biases are always going to influence these type of elections. They just are.
These are the same clowns that had a chance to put Fred McGriff in years ago.
Yeah,
didn't.
I'm glad he got in eventually.
I am too.
Yeah,
and I'm glad it's this year.
Yes,
because he's going to have the stage almost to himself.
Yes, agreed. There you go. All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We'll do the question of the day. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo, and it's time for the radio question of the day.
LSU was forced to hire a security detail to protect gymnast Olivia Dunn from her crazed male fans. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer. And again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-648-9175. 800-648-9175. 800-648-9175. That's 800-648-9175.
Louisiana State University's gymnastics team hit a home run with Olivia Dunn. The 20-year-old gymnast has a combined 9 million followers on her Instagram and TikTok accounts. She was named one of the top female influencers in the world, and she is making more than $2 million a year. Her name, image, and likeness deal has gifted a very interested audience with some pretty provocative social media content. Question: do you consider Dunn's nil deal to be one heck of a successful hustle or a step back for women's sports?
I'm never going to blame anyone. I don't care. Women's sports, Society of Plumbers, or the Society of Professional Street Performers. If you're hustling and making crap happen, good for you. Like, that's the American spirit personified as far as I'm concerned. Go out and make your money. As long as you're not breaking any laws or hurting anyone. And hell, as long as you're not breaking any laws that actually make sense. I don't even care if you break stupid laws. Like, go get your money, man. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Love it.
They need a security detail for her male fans? Okay.
Hey, we used to call those peeping toms back in the day, or stalkers. Now they're
what is she putting out there on TikTok that got dudes so riled up here? This is
that's a good question. I'm not familiar. I mean, certainly there has not been.
I'm not either.
There's not been a short list historically of attractive female athletes selling their sexuality in, sort of subtle but provocative ways. I'm not suggesting that that's the case here, but I'm suggesting it could be. That would explain a rowdy group of males anyway.
There's a female golfer that does it.
Yep.
And I forget her page. So somebody,
yeah. She's
Paige
a blonde.
Spiranek.
Yeah. She's a blonde.
And I actually like her because she openly says it and makes jokes about it. And I respect that. It's working for her, and she's getting deals all over the place.
Absolutely.
More power to you if you do this.
100%. It's the reason why no one bought those Sports Illustrated swimsuit editions with males on the cover. Like, sorry, that doesn't work for us. It's like this works. This is a one-way street, guys. Like, we're the customers here. We're not the subjects. Let's be real.
Yeah, that Patrick Mahomes calendar ain't flying off the shelves.
No. You put Anna Kournikova on it. That's a different story. Now we're talking. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Let's live in the real world. Like, let's not joke about this. Like, let's call it what it is. So no, but I have no look. I have no problem. In fact, I not only did I have a problem with it, I deeply respect anyone who hustles like that. I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, make it while you can.
100%. Make it when you can and how you can, as long as you're not breaking any reasonable laws. I won't even say any laws, because there's dumb laws. I got a funny story about dumb laws for a second. This comes courtesy of my friend Richie. Many years ago, he dated some.
That Richie?
Yes, that Richie.
Oh, this will be good.
He's got a lot of these. He dated a girl from Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania. I forget her name. It was a short-term thing. They dated for a month or so, if that. Went on a few dates. And she had a obsession with old laws that had not been struck from the books. So she would read law textbooks and find laws that at one point were relevant to functional society and have long since aged out, but were never formally removed from the books. So one such law was you had to, when you were crossing a bridge at night, you had to fire a round or 2 rounds into the air to signal you were crossing. It was basically a pre-cars horn because there were no headlights. This was from the horse and buggy years. So this was in some town in Pennsylvania. They never removed this from the books. It was still technically the law, and she was a gun-toting Second Amendment advocate. So one day she opens her sunroof and does exactly this. Cops come flying like, oh my God, shots fired. She quotes the law chapter and verse. The guy calls up his captain. He looks it up and he's like, well, I guess that's technically true, but tell her she doesn't have to follow that law.
When I was a radio music DJ, I used to do different features and stuff, and I did one called The Law Says, and I went through some of the, I went through a different law every day, and there's enough of them out there to keep you going for years.
That's awesome. That's so good. There we go. A little breaking news from Dylan here. Nathaniel Hackett to the Jets. That's probably bad.
So go the Jets.
I mean, if it gets them Rodgers, I guess it's good.
I don't think Rodgers will go there now.
Yeah, I mean, I know they worked together in Green Bay. I don't know how much they liked each other, but
I think Rodgers ignored him.
How could you? I mean, if you believe it's going to get you Rodgers, fine, because Rodgers doesn't need an offensive coordinator. To your point, he probably ignored him because he can, because he's one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Right.
That's fine. If it gets you Aaron Rodgers, fine. Then, we don't have an offensive coordinator basically, but we have, a great quarterback. Good. That works. If it doesn't, which is more likely, and you're stuck with this guy, did you not watch any Broncos games this year? You know how horrible they were? Like, what are we talking?
Oh, come on, Gary. Coach Nate's an offensive
Did we not just get rid of Adam Gase? Did we not just play this movie? We know how this movie goes. It's not good. Oh, God almighty. I'm not even a Jet fan. If Scott's watching or listening right now, I'm sorry, Scott. I apologize for them to you. This is awful. Unless it gets them Rodgers, then it's okay. But this is an all-in play. In fact, I would even so much as say, if I was the Jets, they won't do this, but I would. If I don't land Rodgers, I'm firing him and hiring someone else. I don't even care.
Oh, yeah. They've interviewed a number of candidates I thought were better.
I mean, anyone's better than this idiot. I mean, look what he did in Denver. They couldn't score against a friggin' Pop Warner team.
Look what he did everywhere he's been.
He's awful.
Except for Green Bay.
Yes, well, it's like the Adam Gase thing all over again. That's why that's such a perfect analogy. Like, we just got rid of this guy on this same franchise. He was hired to his positions for the exact same reason, because he had success with a veteran all-timer and somehow got credit for making that guy. Yeah, Adam Gase really made Peyton Manning. Give me a friggin' break. Nate Hackett,
Coach Nate made
Rodgers.
Made Aaron Rodgers, didn't he?
Give me a break with this stuff. My God, these people that hire these guys are idiots. What
I do see
doing?
The humor in it.
Oh, it's hilarious. But this is like to me, if I was a Jet fan, this is as bad as it gets. Like, we're just for the first time in like a decade feeling some positive momentum, and now we hire this clown? Ugh. God. Yeah, Frank Reich would have been a whole lot better.
Frank Reich's interviewing again, has a second interview for a head position.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
If he doesn't get that,
look,
I think he'd be a solid choice for offensive coordinator, better than who they hired.
Go down to some Division II school in like Alabama. You'll find better football minds there than this idiot. Oh my God, what a bunch of I need a break. But it's the end of the hour, so I can't take a break. Oh, come on, man. This just isn't fair. And I'm not even a Jet fan.
Well,
I thought
cross
this,
the Jets off my list of concerns.
I thought
Uh,
this guy was on the list of unhirables. I really did.
I've seen how this plays out firsthand.
I mean, because this guy didn't even last 1 year.
Right.
I mean, if you don't last a single year.
Didn't I call for him after game 1?
Yeah, game 1. Yes. It was like, oh, I've seen enough. This guy's a disaster.
And you know I don't have a history of doing that.
No, you don't. That was so funny.
I'm patient with coaches.
Yeah, we'll get to the We'll get to the predictions tomorrow when we break down those games. But that's gonna be a great game. I haven't quite made up my mind yet.
I'm still weighing some things on both of these games.
Yeah, in particular, well, both of the games. Yeah, I mean, because Dylan's talking about the NFC matchup, but like,
yeah. Well, a lot of people are dismissing the Bengals too, and I'm like, don't do that.
No. I'm not dismissing them. I would say I would feel much more confident in Kansas City and pretty much know I was picking them if Mahomes was healthy. I think Kansas City is better. But if Mahomes isn't healthy, I don't believe that necessarily. But because to me, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
But you know, if he's not healthy, the Bengals are plenty good enough to beat them. So that's, you know,
Bengals have beaten them twice in the last 3 years with Mahomes.
Yeah, so we'll do our predictions tomorrow.
So I'm not sold.
Yeah, no, I'm more sold on a healthy Kansas City team than I am a healthy Bengals team, but the Kansas City Chiefs aren't healthy. The Bengals are. So I have a decision to make, which I'll have tomorrow, along with the NFC game, which those teams are healthy for the most part. And, you know, that's more the matchup I'm interested in anyway. I will say
those are two excellent defenses.
They are. And I will say this, whoever wins that matchup will be the team I'm rooting for in the Super Bowl. I'm definitely rooting for the NFC the rest of the way.
I feel the same way.
I definitely am. If it's Kansas City and Philadelphia, I might root for Kansas City because I like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes a lot and Travis Kelce.
See, I won't.
But if it's the Niners, of course I'm rooting for the Niners because that's my team. But yeah, so
I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes in another one. I don't want to see his stupid family on the sidelines. I've seen that play out, and I've had enough.
I enjoy Patrick Mahomes a lot. I'll say this: my rooting interest will be determined by who makes it. So if it's the Niners, I'm rooting for the Niners. If the Eagles are in it, I'll root for the Eagles against Cincinnati. I'll root for the Chiefs against the Eagles. So that's going to be my breakdown. So we'll see. But
I'm NFC all the way on this, no matter who it is.
No matter who. Okay, yeah, I'm dependent on the matchup. But we'll see what happens. So we'll do those predictions tomorrow. A lot of football tomorrow. Last day of multiple games for the year. By the way, speaking of football, we have some awards to talk about, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Don't we? Yes, we do. All right. So
we absolutely have awards.
We will do that next hour. Well, so we'll get those queued up. We'll have, of course, the top 5 on the other side of the break. We'll do those right after that. We still got news you can use. We got a few minutes here before the break. Rich, why don't you give us our quick hockey update?
We do have a few minutes.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize it. It was a short night last night. It was a TNT night, so we didn't really have a lot of games. We had 2 involving locals. The Islanders laid an egg in Ottawa. They lost 2-1. And they're just having trouble finding goals or wins right now. The Rangers played a little better, but they lost to Toronto 3-2 on a late goal, in which Gallant put his big line out there to stop. And did they ever let him down? They did no such thing. In fact, they let Mitchell Marner walk in and get the game-winning goal late in the game. Got a full slate tonight. You have 2 teams playing again. New Jersey's on the road to play Nashville. And Buffalo, trying to extend its road winning streak, is in Winnipeg. Okay. The one place colder than this. Great.
Nice. Awesome. Very good stuff. All right. So there you have it. That's the hockey update. We will take our top of the hour break. We'll come back. We'll do the top 5 NFL awards, NBA basketball news you can use is the rest of the show. We'll be back after this. Hour 2 around the corner. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app, and Facebook and YouTube Live. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo, hour 2, top of the hour. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
Alrighty, there we have it. Thank you, Jack George. What do we got today, Rich?
Well, talking about MVPs and quarterbacks and everything, give me your top 5 games played by a quarterback in Super Bowl history.
Oof. Man.
Oh, no. This is never good when you start out with oof.
Joe Montana times 4. I mean,
Doesn't work that way.
I mean, like he basically
you got to break each one down.
Yeah, I mean,
give us a few minutes here.
He basically never had an he almost like barely had incompletions in the Super Bowl. I mean, Montana was so incredibly perfect. I'd have to go through his games to pick one, but so I'm just gonna say Joe Montana. I don't have.
There are a lot of them. It could be. I mean, it even could be 2 games.
Right.
I'm looking at games, not people.
Right. No,
I mean,
I understand that. I don't have the game off the top of my head, but one of his 4 Super Bowls, because he never threw an interception in the Super Bowl. He had a really high completion percentage, laughably high for the era. You know what I mean? Like his completion percentage now would look good, but like not off the charts. In the context of his time, his Super Bowl completion percentage was off the charts.
It was.
So I'm pulling up his Super Bowl statistics right now to take a quick reference here.
I'll give you an honorable mention. I think Bob Greasy had an amazing game, but when I looked at the numbers, he was 6 for 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing game was basically Zonka.
So speaking of Miami, that's probably Denver are probably the 2 that you go with Montana against San Francisco.
I was thinking of the Denver game, but yeah, both could be.
Against Miami in 84, Montana was 24 of 35 for 331 yards and 3 touchdowns. And against Denver in 89, he was 22 of 29 for 297 and 5 touchdowns. So either one of those qualify.
Yeah, if not both.
Right, exactly. So those 2 I'm going to put on the list for the time being. I know Phil Simms had a great Super Bowl. I think
also against Denver.
Against Denver also, right? Yeah. I think he had like 1 or 2 incompletions in the Super Bowl. You know, it's so funny about Montana. I'm looking on Pro Football Reference right now. He played in so many Super Bowls. He actually had a category stats of Super Bowl.
I believe it.
I guess him and Brady. Looking up Phil Simms. Simms played in, I think it's the 1 Super Bowl in 86. He was 22 of 25, 268 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
88%. Not bad.
I'll take that one. It's definitely going on the list.
Geez, if you want to make this games against Denver, check out Doug Williams.
Oh, jeez.
He had a Super Bowl.
Yes.
With the Redskins against Denver. That was one of my all-time favorites.
Mm-hmm. Let's see who else. You know what a really good game in the Super Bowl was. Steve Young had a very good Super Bowl in 1994. I'm gonna pull that up right now.
That against the Chargers?
That was against the Chargers.
What did he have? Touchdown passes?
Something crazy like that. Yeah. That's why I'm trying to pull up.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, Steve Young had a great Super Bowl. Yeah, he played in 2 of them. Well, one of them he was a backup. But the one you were 94 against the Chargers, he was 24 of 36, 325 and 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. That definitely qualifies.
Yes, it does. Hey, anybody listening too, just hit us on the chat if you want to chime in with a few.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean these are interesting. So far we got 2 Montana games, a Phil Simms game,
a Young game,
a Steve Young game.
Don't sleep on that Doug Williams one. At least look it up.
Yep. Yeah, I'm wondering about John Elway's Super Bowls because he played in a lot of them. look up his Super Bowls real quick.
He lost in a bunch of them.
Yeah, he
He won the last two, but that was mostly on
the running game.
legs of Terrell Davis.
Yeah, I mean, Elway was the LeBron of football in a sense. Really undeserving teams way further than they should have gone.
Yes.
So I actually look at those Super Bowls that he lost as his most impressive accomplishments, even more than the ones he won for that. But yeah, he did not have a good, really any great Super Bowl games. His best one was probably his last one, and it wasn't all that great. He was 18 of 29, 336, a touchdown and an interception. So, but he had a rushing touchdown in that game also. So,
he was a fearless runner.
He really was. Who else we got? Talk about Doug Williams.
Roger Staubach had one to remember.
Staubach's probably a good one. I mean, I guess you could say Joe Namath, just because of the weight he put on himself in that game with his prediction and the fact that they were so such great underdogs.
18.5 point underdogs.
Yes.
And the legend goes, and I've seen this in the cases, that he told Weeby Tuesday, late great Weeby Eubank, Jets old coach. He told him by Tuesday, stop making us watch film. And Eubank said, why? He said, players are going to get overconfidence. I see every weakness in this defense and how to exploit it. And it wasn't through the air.
No, it wasn't.
He relied him in short passing.
Right.
It wasn't a brilliant game.
No, it wasn't.
It did turn the tables around because no one thought the AFL was ever going to win a game against the NFL.
Well, that's why it's the context of the time and the added pressure he put on himself and his team with the guarantee. That's what makes it a candidate for this list. Because to your point, statistically, it doesn't measure up, not even close.
Right.
But because of those factors, it's an impressive game because, like, it really, and in the sense of what it did for Namath and that team, they've become football immortals, despite really not being a team that was very good for very long because of that guarantee. So in the context of impact, it's as big of an impact on future fortunes of its participants as any Super Bowl ever has been.
Oh, it is.
So,
and I think that and a couple other instances propelled him into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
I mean, he was a 4,000-yard passer. Everyone says he doesn't belong there because of the numbers, but one, it's a completely different game. And two, he was a 4,000-yard passer when they didn't exist.
Right, he was the first one. That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's
now,
exactly
if you
right.
get 4,000 yards, you've had a bad year.
That's right. That's true. No, it's true. So I'm gonna go, I think, with the Namath game as my number 5 because of all of the extenuating circumstances and ripple effects we're discussing right now. The game itself has no bearing on qualification, but
no, it was a 16-7 game.
Right. The ripple effects of all this matter a lot. So,
One other thing in that game, that's Earl Morrill ended up playing in that game, and they went to Unitas late in the third quarter, and it did nothing.
I think they should have started Unitas in that game. I think they might have won. I've always believed that.
He wasn't healthy, and when he got out there, he did nothing.
Yeah, it's a different ball game coming in off the bench cold than starting the game. But
yeah, but if you're not, I mean, he shouldn't even have been in the game. It's just that Morrill had nothing going.
Yeah, I would have.
Geez, I remember watching that as a kid. That's scary. I don't remember watching the first 2 Super Bowls, but I remember that one.
There you go.
Was the one that actually piqued my interest because I was in an AFL city.
Right, of course. Makes total sense. Well, there you
go. And it's also nice to see 2 AFL teams representing the AFC in in a championship game. We got no NFL interlopers like Pittsburgh or one of the teams that was in the NFL.
Right.
Because it was 16-10 at that time, or 13 NFL teams to 10 AFL teams.
Got it.
When they merged. So they had to split a couple up, or 14, something like that. I'd have to look that up, but they had to split a few up. But in AFL history, they were those 10 teams that ended, or actually eight of the 10 teams began then. You don't see competing leagues do that anymore and stay for that long. I think the closest thing we ever had was the ABA.
Well, those are the only two competing leagues that ever mattered anyway. The AFL and the
WHA in hockey, because they got a bunch of teams absorbed in, and they had Gretzky.
That's the first I've ever heard of that league. I mean, but that's interesting. Okay.
They were around for about 7 years. I think 1 year less than the ABA.
Right. All right. So let's go ahead and rank these.
Yep.
Number 1, I think I'm going with Steve Young. I mean, the enormity of those statistics is just overwhelming. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, a crazy completion percentage. Hard to argue.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm going Phil Simms. For similar reasons. He almost didn't miss a pass. Number 3, I'm going with Montana in 89. Number 4, I'm going with Montana in whatever it was, 84. And number 5 is a toss-up between Doug Williams, who statistically is more deserving, and the Joe Namath game, which from a impact in football history perspective is far more significant.
Yeah. Williams, I know, threw a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it was three touchdowns to 1 pick or 4 touchdowns to 1 pick, something like that. I'm going with Namath though, because the impact that game had on his career, football history, and really the cementing of the AFL teams as equals to the NFL a few years prior to the merger, I think probably was the reason the merger eventually happened. So I think from a pure impact point of view, that game has to be on a list like this because it was so important. And it probably became that because of Namath's guarantee.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And they were underdogs.
Funny thing is, the team he beat, the Baltimore Colts, ended up in the AFC when when they merged.
You know what's interesting too is that that would be the equivalent of, let's say, I don't know, someone like Tyrese Halliburton guaranteeing a playoff series win against the Boston Celtics right now and then pulling it off. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of underdog. This was like wait, what, Joe? You're 20-point underdogs. What do you mean you guarantee you're gonna win? You can't win this game. Like it was so crazy to say that, and then to pull it off just made it that much cooler.
And the funny thing is, that was a time when there was no media following it 24/7.
Yep.
Jets and Colt players met in a bar a few before the game. Some Colts guys walked in the bar. There were a few Jets there. They taunted each other for a little bit, then they ended up closing the place together.
That's so funny.
That wouldn't happen now because there'd be some clown with a camera.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's a shame. Because then you miss some of the best stories.
Yes. Yeah, that's where the stories come from. Well, there you have it. So that's the top 5. Let's take a break. We'll come back. NFL awards are out. Rich is going to tee those off. We'll tell you what we think about them. We got news you can use, and NBA also on tap. Stay with us. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, NFL awards, at least the candidates are out. So what do we got, Rich?
Let's start with MVP, the most logical place to begin.
Mm-hmm.
We have a handful of candidates, 5 that pretty much all deserve to be there. Patrick Mahomes, who's the odds-on favorite to win.
Yep.
Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Justin Jefferson.
You know,
interesting list.
It is an interesting list. I am disappointed that Barkley's not on here. He would actually be the one getting my vote. I think he powered the most impressive underdog story of the year. And I think it was pretty much all because of him for the most part.
He's nominated for something. So,
okay. Well, I would have voted for him for MVP. Now, of that list, you know, I think it depends what you want to value. I mean, if you want to value most outperforming expectations, there's really no one on that list that did that in terms of team expectations for winning. I mean, if you want to value historic season, something that's like beyond the pale, Justin Jefferson should get the vote because he had a historic receiver season this year, like an all-time great season. Of course, quarterbacks are always going to be pretty much the almost unassailable favorites here. So it probably will be one of the 3. I think personally, the end of year Hamlin stuff plays in Josh's favor to some degree. I think there's going to be some emotional votes, sort of some sentimental votes that go his way. If I'm predicting who I think will win, I'm going to say I think that's going to make Josh a real good candidate. I think it'll come down to him and Mahomes. Of those guys, I would personally vote for Jefferson. I believe Mahomes is probably going to win it, but I think Allen could win it. I think it's going to be one of those 2. But I personally would vote for Justin Jefferson because what he did as a receiver this year has almost never been done before. So, you know, that qualifies to me. And no one had the Vikings winning 12 or 13 games. I know a lot of people like to poo-poo them, but the fact is they still won a bunch of games, and it's pretty much because of how great he was that they did that.
True.
So
true.
He would get my vote.
And I liked Jefferson as well, but I'm going to go with Mahomes.
Yeah, I think he'll probably win it.
I think he'll get the votes. I don't think Allen had a good enough year for it, to be honest. I think Allen deserved it more last year and didn't get it.
Yeah. That's probably true. Okay, what do we got next?
Okay, Defensive Player of the Year. Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and Chris Jones, defensive tackle for the Chiefs.
Man, all 3 are monsters. I would have had Sauce Gardner on here too from the Jets, but man, you can't go wrong with any of those 3. I won't. No, I don't care. I don't care who wins of those 3. They're all absolute monsters. Chris Jones, because of the flashiness of their offense, kind of gets lost a little bit, but that guy's an absolute
does.
disruptor. He wrecks offensive lines on a consistent basis.
He does.
It's like
He really does.
like he could be like, he's the type of guy that my mom, who's just now starting to watch football because her new boyfriend Lloyd's a big fan. He's a big Bills fan, as a matter of fact. And
smart man.
yes. So so he's playing, maybe, I don't know. He's playing, he's watching all these games, right? So my mom ends up watching them, and she's beginning to have flickers of understanding of like the real basics of it. And
Oh, wow.
this is the kind of guy that, like, for someone like that, if you were watching football knowing nothing about what anything is, you don't know what a sack is or an offensive line is or a first down, you would see him on the screen and like realize like his side of the field is like always messed up and be like, man, who is that guy? Like, he just jumps off the screen with the destruction he leaves in his wake. Chris Jones is a monster. You know how I feel about Nick Bosa. He's my favorite player on the team that I root for. And Micah Parsons, to me, is probably the most complete defensive player in the NFL. You can't go wrong with here. I would vote for Parsons. But really, any of these three, they all deserve it. I don't care who wins.
You know, I like to be a contrarian. I'm going to go for Bosa.
That's fine with me.
He is as well my favorite player.
He's a beast. I mean, like I said,
my favorite defensive player in the league.
Yeah, him, Parsons, and Gardner are my three favorites in some order. So 2 of my 3 favorite defensive players are represented here. So, and Chris Jones is a monster. So if he won it, I wouldn't be upset.
Oh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't if any of these three.
All 3 are perfectly deserving. So yeah, but I'll vote for Parsons because why not? All right.
Offensive player of the year: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Jefferson.
I mean, I never liked this award because it feels like a consolation prize, right? Like it feels like second place in the MVP voting. I think Justin Jefferson wins this because I don't think he wins the MVP. And voters generally, hence my statement, will vote for the best non-quarterback in this place because they're going to give the perceived best quarterback the MVP. And
right.
So this is kind of a weird award to me. It's kind of like you should almost rename this the non-quarterback offensive player of the year award. Because like that's basically what it's become. I think Justin Jefferson wins this one in the landslide because I think Mahomes gets the MVP.
I am going to go with Jalen Hurts.
So do you think they'll do the double quarterback thing?
Yeah.
They might.
I think it showed how much they missed Hurts when he wasn't there. And what he did when he came back and what he did all year long. I told you before the season when we were doing our predictions that I felt he was the best quarterback in the division. And that hasn't changed.
Okay, there you go. Certainly the best team in the division. That's for damn sure. There's no question about that. All right.
Offensive Rookie of the Year: Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker III, a very interesting choice, running back for the Seahawks, and wide receiver Garrett Wilson of the Jets.
I'm going with Wilson here in the landslide. I don't even think this is close. I mean, Purdy didn't play enough, in my opinion. And I mean, the Walker is good, but Wilson was after Hall went down, he was the only thing of any kind of threat at all on this Jet team for basically 2/3 of the season. I give him a lot of credit. That's a lot to put on the rookie in the face of basically your best quarterback's 50 years old and your other quarterbacks. Oh God, who are they?
One's a backup and one may never take a snap there again.
Exactly. So in the face of all that, without a real running game or another big threat, for Wilson to have the year he had as a rookie, to me, this should almost be a unanimous vote. I don't think this one should be close. So Wilson's the choice here by a landslide, in my opinion.
I agree. I had some sentiment for Walker.
Yeah, he had a good year. He did.
Because I really think he made that ground game relevant.
Yeah, no, he had a very good year. He just didn't have the deck stacked against him the way Wilson did.
Right. For me, it was closer, but I picked Wilson for the same reason.
Okay.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm.
I like all three. Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson,
Oh yeah, he was good.
and Tariq Woolen, the rookie corner for the Seahawks, who I thought was actually their best defensive player.
Yeah, I'm going with Gardner here. I mean, I almost would have had him a defensive player of the year. He was that good. Hutchinson and Woolen are both very good players too. Hutchinson probably, had an advantage in the sense that he plays a position that is more statistically evaluatable unless you're getting interceptions.
Right.
But so it's always hard for a defensive back who doesn't get picks to go up against a defensive end who gets sacks. It's hard to win that battle if you're the defensive back. But in this case, my vote is the defensive back, but it's Gardner. I think he was the best defensive back in the NFL this year. And I mean, the guy's just a stud. I would vote for him.
I'm not discounting what he did, but I'm taking Hutchinson.
That's fair enough.
I think he made that defense bearable in Detroit.
Yeah, yes.
As their offense got more relevant.
Yes.
Their defense was still horrible, but as the year went on, it got a little bit better because he got better.
Yes. That's fair.
Okay, two more.
All right.
Comeback Player of the Year.
Mm.
All three are worthy. Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey.
And
Geno Smith.
Mm.
All three are worthy.
They are. See, when I think of Comeback Player of the Year, I mostly think of coming back from injuries. In the case of Geno Smith, I would think of that as most improved type of category, which I don't think
there is no most improved.
The NFL doesn't have that, right? The NBA does, the NFL doesn't.
The NBA does.
Yeah, right. No, I know that. So, but with that said, to me, this comes down to the two running backs. I mean, Barkley has to win something for what he did with the Giants. I'm going to go with Barkley because, in my opinion, McCaffrey took the team to another level, but this was going to be a good and dangerous team without him. Barkley pretty much was the reason the Giants were able to build Jones up slowly the way they did, because they were able to just rely on him so heavily. That has to be appreciated and recognized with some kind of hardware this year somewhere. I think it's a shame he wasn't on the MVP ballot. He's at least on this one. So I'm voting for Barkley here.
I'm taking Geno Smith. He came from just being a piece of history, bad history at that, to a 70% passer, and took a team a lot farther than they had any business going. But I do think all three are. I mean, if I had my way, I'd split it between Barkley and Smith.
Yeah, I'm going with Barkley here. Had Barkley been on the MVP or Offensive Player of the Year list, I would be more likely to go with one of the other two.
See, I felt he should have been on Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, but my
MVP.
second choice here would be McCaffrey, because, like I said at the beginning, I associate comeback player with coming back from a major injury.
Yeah.
That's really the only reason. And I guess I like him better too. But yeah, I mean, for me, this is a clear answer. This is Barkley for me, without any real thought to it. This is an easy one for me.
Coach of the Year, the last one.
Oh, this is also easy.
Brian Daboll,
Yes.
Doug Peterson, Sean McDermott, Kyle Shanahan, and Nick Sirianni.
See, I think Shanahan has a case, but the thing with him
too.
is he has a roster where there were expectations of excelling, so that's going to work against him because basically you just met expectations. To me, Daboll.
Well, I say the same thing for Nick Sirianni.
Yes. Daboll so far exceeded any expectations this team had. And
as did Doug Peterson.
Yep, but that's another team with the I keep thinking Eagles. No, that's the Jaguars now. He did.
I think those are the two candidates.
Those are
basically.
the two guys. I think Dable is my guy. I mean, the way he turned around a losing team with a quarterback that people were ready to throw to the wolves. I mean,
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive. And I mean, Daniel Jones had only 5 turnovers this year. He had 65 in his first 3 years.
I know.
That's insane.
Which is amazing.
You gotta give this to Dable for me.
I was torn between Daboll and Peterson. I ended up going with Daboll because I just look at what he did in New York and what his replacement did in Buffalo. And I can't think of 2 better reasons.
Yep, I agree.
To have him as coach of the year. He made a lot of difference on 2 teams.
Agreed. That's a great summary and breakdown. I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. So, all right, there you have it. NFL awards. We'll see how they play out. So
that was fun.
That was fun. So the recap, I went with for MVP, I went with Justin Jefferson, although I don't expect him to win. These are just the guys I said I would vote for. Justin Jefferson for MVP. I believe well, no, I said Mahomes for MVP. I said Jefferson for offensive player of the year. I believe defensive player of the year should go to Micah Parsons. I believe was it rookie of the year? I would go with
offensive rookie of the year.
Offensive rookie of the year.
You went with Garrett Wilson.
I went with Gardner for defensive rookie of the year.
And a jet sweep on the rookie of the year.
Jet sweep. Comeback player of the year, I went with Barkley, and for coach of the year, I'm going with Dable. So 2 Giants and 2 Jets. No, I'm not biased. They just both had great seasons.
They did, and I would not argue with any of the 4.
Those guys.
I went differently on the offensive and defensive. Oh no, I went same on the offensive.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Rookie. We went different on the defensive rookie.
You went with Hutchinson, which is a good pick too.
We went different on comeback player of the year, but they were equally deserving. We went different on offensive and defensive player of the year. I went with Bosa, and offensively I went with Hurts. And we ended up being different on we both went Mahomes on MVP.
We both went Mahomes on MVP. We both
went Dable on
coach of the year. Yep. So we had 3 the same and 3 different because we had coach, offensive rookie, and MVP the same. And then we had the other 3 different.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. All right. There you have it. All right. Well, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do some NBA, and then we'll close it up with news you can use. It's the Gary Ayd Show back after this here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
You know, one thing that's interesting, Rich, as we dive into the NBA, this is a funny factoid. I'm reading this from NBA Buzz, a very popular Facebook NBA group. Rui Hachimura's LA debut last night, where he finished with 12 points and 6 rebounds on 4 of 7 shooting. That debut, he's from Japan, crashed a streaming service in Japan because so many people were watching it. There is a unattributed quote ostensibly from someone in Japan that says Lakers, and this is how I know it's from Japan because it's like kind of broken English. Lakers is literally the most famous team in Japan. As a country, we're so happy about this move. So basically the Lakers were Japan's favorite team, and now their favorite son, their native son, is now a member of that team, and the streaming service went kaput because of it. That's pretty good stuff. That's a cool story.
They have been the favorite there for years.
Oh, yes. That's not new. Right.
And it's the same way in China.
Yes.
I mean, they were the favorite team in China when Yao was playing in the NBA.
Yeah, that's amazing. So there we have it. All right. So let's take a look at some of these games from last night and tonight.
There were some really good games. That Philly-Brooklyn game was outstanding.
Oh, what a game. There was some chirpiness, and Embiid and Claxton were getting into it.
Oh, yeah, they did.
I personally am of the opinion that unless you're on equal footing, talking trash to a great player is usually a bad idea. And last night did nothing to change my perception of that concept. Let's just say
I agree with that.
Embiid, let's just say he had a good game.
26 and 10.
Yep.
Tobias Harris woke up. He had 18.
That was nice to see.
It was very nice to see. Harden, Melton were in double figures. Tybalt was in double figures, and Tyrese Maxey led the way with 27 points.
Good stuff.
Claxton and Kyrie had double doubles. Claxton had 25 and 11 and played very well. Kyrie had 30 and 10 assists. Simmons scored in double figures. Nice to see. And I had a feeling that was going to happen. Leading scorer in the game, Seth Curry, came off the bench and put in 32 in about 34 and a half minutes.
Yeah, this was.
And every once in a while, he has one of those just to let people know, I'm still here.
Yes, I'm still here.
For what it's worth.
Yeah, this was a good game. You like what you see. The one thing I have to question Jacques Vaughn on, in particular, during this stretch when Durant is out. Why is TJ Warren playing almost no minutes? This guy is definitely the most capable guy on your roster for replacing some of Durant's offense. He plays basically the same position. Yeah. Why is he buried on the bench? He's playing 9 minutes. He got 2 shots.
He played 7 the other night. I have no idea.
I mean, you're rolling.
I know he's not the best defender in the world, but come on, you need points.
I mean, look.
Well, not last night.
You're playing Royce O'Neal 35 minutes. Warren could play a small ball 4 if you need him to. Or you can, put him in place of Joe Harris. I mean, like, something. Look, the problem with the Nets, when I look at this starting lineup last night, and certainly last night's a bad example because they scored 133, but like, there's a lot of kind of non-shooters here. You got Claxton, Simmons, and O'Neal. None of them are really good shooters. O'Neal's borderline competent. The other 2 can't shoot. Like that's a lot of clogging up in a starting lineup.
It is. And I'm not a big Royce O'Neal fan, but if I'm coaching that team, he gets 35 minutes in 3 games.
Right.
Not in 1.
No.
Not when I have people I have sitting on the bench.
Right. He's a good defender, so I understand why he would be in the rotation, but I'm not playing him 35 minutes a night. He's not Michael Cooper or Bruce Bowen defensively.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
In fact, Simmons is a better defender.
yes, and Simmons makes sense to play minutes, and he played 29, and that's fine. I think
Right.
that's about right for him. But like, yeah, to me, TJ Warren needs to be in this rotation, and I would cut O'Neal's minutes down to about 15 to 18 and bump Warren's up to about 27 or 28.
I would too.
I really would.
I would have Warren taking minutes from two people, O'Neal and Harris.
Yep. Agreed.
Until Harris gets it together for any consistent.
Yeah, I mean, he played well last night. I mean, he didn't take a
He
lot of
did.
shots. He only took 4 shots, but he made 3 of them, including 2 of 3 from downtown. So,
Yeah.
In 20 minutes, he scored 8 points. That's not terrible.
But I'd like to see him get him if you're going to have him out there. I'd like to see him get more involved in the offense.
Yes. Yeah, but TJ Warren, I think, has to be in this rotation while Durant's down. I really do.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Just makes
even
sense.
after.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
He should get some minutes.
Some after, but definitely
This guy's
now.
a pro.
Yes, he can
He
score.
can play.
Yeah, he can score. Another game.
You called it, Milwaukee.
They got it.
You called that yesterday. That was a real nice win for a team that needed one. I know there was no Jokic and no Murray.
That makes a big difference, of course.
And it does. And I still think Denver's a better team at this stage. While the Bucks are healing completely and you get players playing the way they can. It was good to see Middleton back, even though in a reserve role. He's doing well out there in that role. And it's good to see him rounding his way into form.
Yep, agreed. One other
we had a couple of high scoring games last night. Oh, go ahead.
One other game I kind of predicted last night, actually 2 other ones. I predicted the Magic to beat the Pacers, which they did, 126 to 120. And
they're lost without Halliburton.
They can't play. They are awful without him. They're horrendous. And then I also predicted the Timberwolves to beat the Pelicans, which they did, 111 to 102. So I had a good night last night. The
Pelicans are another team.
Yeah, they need one of those 2 guys back. Like,
well,
now.
Ingram's back.
Good. Well,
Ingram's back. There to me was no excuse. You're outscored 35-21 in the third quarter. Ingram played. He played 25 minutes. He had 13, 5, and 5.
Yeah, he was 4 of 18, though, 0 of 6 from the 3-point line. He really fought a shot bad last night.
That was the problem.
But that's expected. He's just getting back. So
right. But I mean, they still should have given Minnesota a better game. And a lot of guys didn't really do much.
By the way,
Herbert Jones played a lot of minutes for no production.
That's very true. I'll give you something. Anthony Edwards was a monster last night.
Oh, he had a game.
37 points, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, 4 of 10 from 3, 12 of 25 overall, just a shade under 50% from the field. Yeah, this guy balled out last night. You got some contributions from elsewhere. Gobert had a nice game, 17 points, 12 rebounds. And you got some points out of D'Angelo Russell. So your major guys played big for you last night. If you're Minnesota, you're happy to see that.
Agreed. I just still laugh when I see Kyle Anderson in the starting lineup. Although he had 10 and 7 assists.
Oh, my man is slower than molasses in January.
Oh, man.
But he's having a career, so good for him. There you go.
Best game, and we haven't even mentioned the best game of the night.
That was Golden State and Memphis.
Yes, this game had everything. These two teams do not like each other.
No, they don't, which is
It
awesome.
shows on the court. Big plays made by a lot of people. Curry got himself tossed in the last minute. Klay Thompson was brilliant. Curry had 34 when he was in. Klay Thompson had a great game. Jordan Poole played extremely well. Draymond Green, with his usual 8 points, had 13 rebounds and 7 assists.
Yep, and
three
blocks.
block shots.
Yeah, he had a good game. He really did.
I still don't get Looney not being in there more. But, hey,
Yeah, they seem to be committed to this really small lineup.
I'm not in love with it.
I'm not either.
And I think they're going to have to change it
and,
up.
And
but
this game highlights what I was talking about a week or so ago, Rich. They were all in and all focused emotionally in this game. Now, when they go and play some bad team next, who are they playing next? They're going to play someone lesser than that, of course. Watch, they lose. I almost can guarantee it without even knowing who their opponent is. I can almost guarantee if it's like a quote unquote average or below average team that they'll lose the game. So they're playing Toronto next. Watch them lose to Toronto.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I also will say they're a better team at home.
Yes, they are. That's true.
And this year it really shows. But I mean, a lot of nice games in this, a lot of great plays, and it was just an outstanding game.
This was a great game.
And it's not discounting some other games. Dave Lillard had a 60-point night. We didn't even mention it.
That's true. I mean, that's an amazing. I mean, is that the first 60-point game this season? Or was someone else?
No, it was the third.
It was the third one. Yeah, it was.
Who got the first one? I know Mitchell had the 71. Who got the 60 earlier? The first 60.
There were 2 in one night or something.
The first 60-point game was, I don't remember who it was now.
There was someone.
And then the second was Mitchell's 71.
Yep.
And then this.
Yes.
Man, I got to look on that. I forgot who got the 60.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. But yeah, there's a lot of good games last night.
But even though Lillard with the 60, man, they're misusing Yusuf Nurkic.
That's your personal project this year.
A guy who averages 15 and 10 can't get more than 18 minutes on the court.
Yep.
He played less minutes than Walker Kessler.
You know, 2 games I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm really looking forward to the Knicks and Boston game. And I'm curious about the Dallas Phoenix game, only because for one reason. That you talk about 2 teams that also don't like each other. I could see there being some ejections in that game.
Yes.
But that Knicks Boston game, I think it's gonna be fun. I got a prediction for you. I'm calling the upset tonight. I feel like the Knicks are gonna pull an upset here. I really do. It's a gut feeling.
It's the first TNT game, so it'll be nice. In fact, both the games you mentioned are TNT games.
Yep.
I don't think it's that big of an upset. I am not in love with the way the Celtics are playing right now. Something's missing. I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it.
Need that secret sauce.
They don't look like the Celtics.
No, you're right. They look like a kind of facsimile of the Celtics, like a
Yeah, they have the best record in the East, and I get that, and they're running away with that, and fine, but there's something wrong. Something's off.
And they have a lot of injuries going into tonight's game too. A lot of guys were listed as day-to-day in this one, so we'll see who actually plays.
Yeah.
Smart, we know, is out. Everyone else, I think it was Brown.
Everyone else is day-to-day.
Yep.
I think one of them was an illness, not
Okay.
Brown.
Yeah, there was Brown, Horford, and one other that was listed as day-to-day.
So
yeah,
anything can happen there.
Malcolm Brogdon was the third I was
Yeah.
thinking about. All right.
That Dallas Phoenix game also does interest me.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
they both have the same record too, which is kind of cool at this time of the year.
They have the same record. Both have significant injuries to some of their better players, and they don't like each other.
And when does Dallas get off their hands and make a move?
They have to. They need something.
I mean, they do. They really
need
do.
something.
They need a shot creator.
John Collins would be on my list, like I was saying the other day. In the top
Jordan
5.
Clarkson would
Jordan
be
Clarkson.
main on my list.
Yeah, he'd be my top choice. I agree with you 100%. But anyone that can create their own offense, regardless of position, would be what I'm after here.
Right.
They just
I
need
think
someone to score.
Clarkson's the best player available
Yeah,
at creating his own offense.
I agree with that. All right, let's take one more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. News you can use back after this. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
Alrighty, we're back. Let's finish it up with some news you can use.
Okay, let's get this thing started here. A couple of interesting things. Aaron Judge revealed on late night television last night that his search for a walk-up song is driving his wife crazy. He has a list of about 30 to 40 songs.
Oh, no.
And he plays it constantly in the car.
Oh, no.
And he's asking her, how would this sound after my name's announced? And she's had more than enough.
Ah, just pick one, damn it. Stop
know.
bothering me. I don't care. I'm not watching your games anyway. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Oh, that's mean. Oh, that's hilarious. The joys of marriage.
Oh, yeah. My favorite golfer, Rory McIlroy.
Your boy.
Just snubbed Patrick Reed. Reed went over to shake his hand at an event. Okay, I get it. You two played together. Reed was the adult, went over to shake his hand. McIlroy, not you went to live. Grow up. Or at least stop being a jackass. A little. That's why I can't stand Rory McIlroy. It has nothing to do with how good he is at his game. But I'm not a Hall of Fame voter, so I'll still give him his props for his game.
Hey, there you
go. Why did Steph Curry get ejected in that Warriors game in the last minute? For throwing his mouthpiece again.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
I know.
It's also kind of disgusting.
In your mouth.
It's a little disgusting.
It is. That thing hit me, there'd be a lawsuit.
Hell yeah. You'd have decaying flesh or something. Probably nasty. Gross. Oh, I never liked that. That like, see, if I was playing against him, I would, when he does the dangle shit from his mouth, I would like run up and whack it out of his mouth right then and there. I'd be getting ejected for whacking the mouthpiece out. And
just keep the damn thing in and play. Come on.
Come on, man.
It's a little too much.
It's a little disgusting is what it is.
Bill's GM Brandon Beane calling out the Bengals in his end of the season press conference.
Why?
Wrong place, wrong time, dude. Well, did you hear any of this?
No.
Well, the reason the Bengals drafted Jamar Chase, of course, I'd love to have Jamar Chase, but we didn't suck badly enough to get him. Let it go. They've built a better roster than you, and your window's closing because your quarterback's deal goes into effect next year. try to figure your own stuff
Yeah,
out.
let's
Okay?
clean up your own room. And not for
Yeah.
nothing. That's a double whammy in bad timing because obviously the game, which is what you're referencing, but also the way they were so accommodating and humane with the whole DeMar Hamlin situation, that Cincinnati organization. This
Yes.
this is like really, really tone deaf and petty. Like, come on, man.
It is. It is. I can't stand
That's
that.
just that's a bad look. It really is.
We got time for one more?
We do.
After Artie Moreno says he's taking the Angels off the market, Shohei Ohtani's departure now seems inevitable.
Inevitable.
I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, how important is it that you like the owner? Like the guy who pays your salary. What do you care? I barely know the name of the guy that owns my company.
He also wants a $500 million deal, Ohtani.
Yeah. Okay. So if Moreno doesn't
mean-
want to pay that, I get it. That's fine.
Right.
But like that's
right.
like, but I guess more my point is almost the inverse of that. Like, okay, Ohtani doesn't like Moreno. Okay. If
Well,
Moreno,
I don't think it's that he doesn't like him. I think the new owners they were talking to all claimed they would have no problem
oh, so it's Moreno doesn't want to pay that, and he expects to have.
meeting that deal.
Got it.
And I mean, he's not even he doesn't get the 10th highest salary in baseball. He doesn't even hit the luxury tax threshold. Pay the man. Pay the man. Because he's going to be a Met if you don't.
Don't pay him.
I know that'll make.
Don't pay him.
You were happy,
Don't pay him.
but the Mets are actually.
Don't pay him, please, Artie. Don't pay him.
You can't trade him because you're not going to get a Juan Soto return for him. He'll be a rental.
Right, right. Unless you trade him to the Mets, but you know.
They're interested. So are the Dodgers, obviously.
Yep, the usual suspects.
And pay the man. Why is this even an issue?
I agree.
Your payroll's not even that high. Stop this.
Come on, man.
Oh, stop. It's enough. It's old. It ain't funny anymore.
Well, that's the whole point. It's supposed to be old. All right. Well, there we go. That does it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 to noon. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.